Don't buy another loaf of bread until you try this honey, molasses, wheat bread right here in your kitchen. Now, we're going to do it today in my kitchen, so stay right there. When you go to restaurants, do you sometimes dissect whatever it is that you've gotten and is on your table? Well, I do. And I love going to Outback. And so I've been enough times that I know when I go, I'm going to have this delicious loaf of bread. And it is kind of a honey wheat bread. And so what we're going to do today is that we're going to try to duplicate that. So if you like their bread and you like that dark honey and sweet and all those good things right there in your bread, you want all of that. And the most important thing that is in that bread is molasses. So we're going to be adding molasses, and we're going to add a few other things that you're going to go, oh, I didn't know that was in there. And we're going to see if we can recreate the Outback bread. Now I'm going to start with about 2½ cups of water. So let me get my measurements here. At 2½, I'm going to start with cool water, and we're going to warm it up to about 110 degrees. Okay, we're there. So we have 2½ cups of water. And in fact, you know, I think I'm going to take it down to 2. And the reason for that is because I'm going to add some coffee into this, because most of the recipes that you see request that you put in instant coffee granules. And so I had some coffee left over. So I'm going to take that last ½ cup and I'm going to bring it up to 2½. So there's our 2. Whoops, I need to take a little bit more out. Okay, that'll do it. So I'm going to bring that half All right, so there we go. Now I'm going to keep that off to the side just in case I need a tad more liquid. So we've got our 2½ cups of water. I'm going to put this in the microwave for about a minute to 1:10 seconds. Then we'll make sure that our water is not too hot. So into the microwave. Okay, so we have our water taken care of. It's warming up because there's going to be a lot of goodies that we're going to put in that water. I have a nice sized bowl because this is going to make quite a few little loaves, little tiny loaves, some of which I'm going to bake and some of which I'm going to freeze if it comes out good. So we'll see. Okay, so in this bowl, I need my whole wheat. Here's my whole wheat flour, and I have to make sure I have 3 cups. I believe I do, and I'm going to measure it off using my 4th cup. Notice that I'm using a scoop method for getting the flour measured. And the reason for that is because I don't want to pack the flour down. Because when you pack the flour, then you're going to get too much flour in your measurement. So we're keeping it light, and you know that whole wheat is always very dense. So we definitely want as accurate a measurement as we can possibly get. 2, 3, and one more makes have my 3 cups of whole wheat flour. And you notice I have a little bit left over, and that's because when I was measuring out initially, I really packed that whole wheat down. But don't do that. Spoon it in. All right, so we have our whole wheat, and we're going to put that whole wheat here first because of the fact that I want to be able to saturate it with the liquid. So I'm going to make a little well in the middle. Okay, here's our water. We're going to bring it back. Get my thermometer so we can make sure that our temperature is good. My thermometer is right at 111.2, but I think by the time I get everything into the water, the temperature will come down. We'll check it again. Okay, got the water. We're going to need to add a couple of tablespoons of honey. Okay, 2 tablespoons of honey. There's 1. And 2. Wipe that off so it won't be sticky. We're going to add in some molasses because that's important to what we're doing. And we're going to add in about a 1/3 cup of molasses. We're going to 1/3 cup of molasses. And we want to get all of that molasses out of the cup. 1/3 cup. Now, I have my yeast, or 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And that's about 1 package. So that's 1, 2, and about a 1/4. Okay, now I keep this in the freezer because I want it to stay perfect, as near perfect as possible. So I'm going to close that up, put the clip back on it, and get it right back into the freezer because I want to preserve the life of this yeast as long as possible. Now I'm going to give this a good stir. And I'm going to let this sit for just a few minutes, just to make sure that the yeast is happy. Well, my yeast is bloomed, so I'm happy as a little lark. I don't know if you can see all those little bubbles there, but I am going to now add salt into the whole wheat and a little sugar. And once we've done that, then we'll be ready to really start mixing. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. And you know, I have whole wheat flour here in the bowl. And I think what I'm going to do is to put the salt and mix it in with the flour so it doesn't impact the yeast quite as much. So let me get my teaspoon of salt because salt is always necessary. And I'm using pink Himalayan. Give that a good stir. I also need to add into our mixture some oil. And I'm using vegetable oil. And we need 1/4 cup. I'm just using canola oil. 1/4 cup. And I'm actually going to add it into our liquid so it will disperse well. And just give all of this a good mix in our liquid. And then we're going to put it into the whole wheat because whole wheat is so dense and so dry that we have to hydrate it a bit. So I'm pouring in all of the liquid, the yeast, all the sugar, all the molasses, the honey, all of that is going into the bowl. There it is. And bring this over. And I'm just going to give it a little stir. And we're going to wait about 10 minutes for this whole wheat flour to take in a lot of the liquid before we start to add in the bread flour. And yes, we're using bread flour because the bread flour is going to make our loaves more tender. You are always welcome into the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. I invite you to subscribe and to hit that like button before you leave, because of the fact that this is where we are inspiring home cooks to cook daily, to decorate their kitchen, and to love on their family. So I hope that you'll take a moment and certainly join our family, and don't forget, hit that like button. So let's get to the rest of our video. Now the only thing I have not put in is the sugar, and I'm going to use brown sugar, and I need a good heaping 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Okay, there's 1, 2 heaping tablespoons. And we also need some dark chocolate. So I'm going to put in some cocoa powder, and I need about 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So I'm going to use the same spoon. There's 1. There's 2. And then about 1/2. Okay, there's our cocoa powder, because we need that in there as well. And let me make sure I haven't left anything out. Got our coffee, got our whole wheat, got our sugar, honey, molasses, oil, and of course water. Now, so we're going to get everything mixed, and then we'll be ready for the bread flour. We're going to give this about 10 minutes to sit, and then we'll be ready to start adding in our flour. Now, while we're waiting, we're going to prepare about 2 loaves of bread. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of oil for the containers. I'm going to be baking this on 350. So I need my brush. And I want to really make sure that I have oiled these well. You could certainly use shortening or something like that to do it, but I'm just using my vegetable oil since that's what I'm using in the recipe. Okay, so that's done, and if you have any excess, then, you know, just take a little paper towel and wipe that out. I did get a little generous, so I'm going to take a little bit of this out with my paper towel. Just kind of dab it. You got a little more than you needed. Okay, and just rub it down, just to make sure that it's nice and well oiled. Okay, so those are ready. Now, so they're off to the side because I hope to have enough dough that I can make 2 loaves and some rolls. I had quite a bit of coffee in this container because I took it out of the leftovers coffee and let it cool so that it wouldn't be too hot. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm not going to throw this away. I can use this as iced coffee, or I even put it into my flower pots and let them saturate one day in a little coffee water, because it just perks them up, and they like it. Because remember, no waste. Now, I had just a little granulated sugar that was off to the side, so I just added that little bit of white granulated sugar in, because like I said, we have to really doctor up whole wheat flour. So this smells almost like a brownie mixture. Ah, smells so good. Okay, let's get ready. Now we're going to start with 1 cup of flour. So I'm going to spoon in a cup, and I can add anywhere from 2 to 3 cups and be safe. But I'm just going to start with 1 cup of flour. And I'm doing this all by hand. So we're going to start here. That's our first cup, and you'll notice that it's going to start to stiffen up. That's okay. Now it's still quite a bit sticky, so I'm going to start to add in some additional flour. Now this is our 3rd cup, and I'm not going to add the whole thing. I'm just going to add in some, just a little bit, and we're going to start to work that in, because it's still pretty sticky. As you can see, it's tightening up. Okay, now in fact what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take some of this flour and I'm going to sprinkle it on my surface, my work surface here. Okay, I can still see little flecks of chocolate here and there. And we're going to take all of this out See how nicely that came out? Make sure we have everything. And we're going to work this by hand until it's ready. But now I'm going to give all of this a really good scrape because we're going to need for this bread to rise. And I'm going to do it right here in this bowl. We are not dirtying up another bowl for the There is nothing more relaxing or healing than hand kneading your dough. I love taking the quiet moment of just being able to work with the dough, to see what you can do, to feel the changes. And the nice thing about hand kneading is that it really gives you the opportunity to know how bread dough works. You can feel the change in the bread dough as you're working with it. You can feel the changes in the gluten and the protein strands that are changing and growing and stretching within the dough. So this gives you such a quiet opportunity to be able to think, to be able to pray, to be able to just have a quiet conversation with yourself. But it's a great quiet time of just you and the dough. All right, I let it rest for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to take out my scraper, my bench scraper. You want to be tough with it. Work it. Don't think you have to be gentle when you're kneading. And notice, you don't have to have a special technique. Just have your technique for kneading. If you find you need a little more flour, then certainly you can do that. But just giving it that little 10-minute rest gives those protein strands a chance to work and start to bring our dough together. I love it. Now I am going to sprinkle flour into our bowl, actually. Give it a good dusting so it doesn't stick. I'm going to take our bread, a good scrape, make sure I have it all, and I'm going to drop it right here in the bowl. Okay. I'm going to cover this with a towel. And when I come back, this is going to be ready to cut and to put into the loaf pans. Whew. It's a little humid outside, and I had to step away for a little while, so our bread has risen quite nicely. Wait until you see it. I thought, you know, what would be really good tonight would be our bread, have a wonderful salad, and prepare some chicken salad, because I do have a rotisserie chicken in the refrigerator. So I think we're going to have to put that together and do it today. All right, I've got our flour down. I'm going to work on this surface, and I've just kind of spread a little flour across the counter, and I'm going to take our bread out, take the towel off because we floured it, and voila, is that not beautiful? I can't wait. So we're going to degas it and get it out here on this countertop. Let's do it. Ooh, look how nice that comes out. Now we're finished with this, but I'm going to pop some of that flour off to the side just in case we need it when we're taking care of our bread. Now you know we're making 2 loaves. I've got the 2 containers here, and then we're going to make some rolls. So I'm going to just work with this a little bit. And then we're going to put it into the containers and let them rise. That should take about 45 minutes or so. If that. It may not even take that long for them to rise a second time. But while they're rising, we're going to make our chicken salad. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this kind of in a log. Guess it'll be easier to separate. Now I'm going to divide this into 4 parts. So we got 1, and 2, And we've got 3. Okay, we'll put those over there. And I'm going to put this one over here. I'll take a little bit of flour because this is pretty moist. And we're going to just press it out. I'm putting a little bit on my hands. We're just going to press it out. Kind of into the length of our, or the width of our containers. Now, I'm going to take it, stretch it a little bit, because that's what it likes to do. Get those gluten strands going. I'm going to fold it over in half and fold this over and then fold that over. And there we go. We got it ready to go right there. All ready. So I'm going to kind of play with it a little bit until I get everybody all attached. And that's the bottom. All right, so this is going to go in the first container. Okay, so there he is in that first container. I help him find his spot. Okay, that's the first one. Now, come over here. I'm going to work with the second one. I think we'll divide him out a little bit. Stretch it out. And fold. And then fold. And one more fold. And then we're going to tuck. Turn him over. Here's our container. And I'm going to put him right there. He's in. I'm going to give him a little press so that he can get happy in there very quickly. All right, so we've got 2 ready for loaves. Now we're going to take these and we're going to make rolls. Now what I'm going to do is then I'm going to roll him up. Fold out and cut. There's 1 in half, the half in half, the half in half. Then I think I'll do the half in half like that. And we can adjust those. We want each one to be about 1 ounce, each roll to be about 1 ounce. Now for the time being, I'm just kind of rolling these, getting them into a nice little ball. And I'll come back to it and put them in the pan. Kind of roll it between your thumb and your middle finger on your hand. Own bread. And it wasn't that hard, was it? Not really. And you figure on just, and we did it by hand, totally. No KitchenAid. Totally by hand. Ooh. And got one little one. We'll see. We may have to add a little bit to this one because he's the baby. Let's see how tiny he is. Okay, let's bring this one over. We're going to tuck and fold, roll it out. I'll put that in there. One more. Okay. Woo. Let me get the pan and we'll be ready to put them in there. I'm using my cake pans. I've sprayed them well with just some regular vegetable oil, just giving them a good spray. And I'm going to put our rolls in. I'm going to put them in touching so that will help them to rise. I'm not sure I need both the pans, but I thought I'd better bring it, have it ready, just in case. I'm going to put this baby one in the middle. Actually, that worked out just fine. And a couple in the middle. Well, we'll put 3 in the middle and spread those others out just a little bit. There we go. So we only needed 1 pan. So I'm going to take all of these. Let me turn you around. All of these. And put them here. I'm going to moisten a towel with hot water. We're going to let these rise. They're going to probably need maybe 45 minutes. Now, before I put this on them, I'm going to take just a little bit of oatmeal and sprinkle across the top. Let me get that. Okay, I got my oatmeal. Just going to get a little pinch and put it across the top. Now, I'm going to take it and we're going to place it over them. Try to get it over all of it if I can. I may have to get another towel or maybe angle just a little bit. There we go. To keep the draft off. Okay, now here's a tip. When you're making your bread and you know you will not need any more flour out, then you're going to take your bench scraper and you're going to use this as your tool to scrape up any little bits that may be lingering on your counter. And you can feel them when you get to them. And it just makes the cleanup so much faster, so much easier. The nice thing about this little bench scraper, I think it wasn't even $6 for 2. And through Amazon, and I believe I have it down in my link. But what a great way to be able to clean your counter. I use it when I'm making salads. I use it no matter what. Anything I need to get up and I need to do it pretty fast, the bench scraper is always ready to go. See if I can open this up. And voila. All done. We have onions, we have celery. Hadn't realized that it cut off. So I have 1 rotisserie chicken. Let's see if it needed a zipper. No. Okay. Take this apart. And I'm going to start with half. And I may be able to use that other half for something else later in the week. So here's half. And if I look at it and think, oh no, we need all of that, then we'll add it, okay? So, all right, I'm taking some of the little pieces of gristle and bone. I'm going to keep those and put them into the freezer. So I'm putting those off to the side. And make sure I don't have any bones in our salad. Okay, I'm just going to pick this apart. I don't want the skin, but I'm going to put the skin in the bag because it will add to any chicken broth that I decide to make this week. Okay, here's the bony part. This was the part of the back. But we've got meat in there, so don't throw it away. A lot of meat in there. Okay. Mash it, run your fingers in there and make sure that you don't have any bones, because you don't want anyone to accidentally swallow a bone or have a bone get stuck in their throat. That is no fun. I've had that to happen. Okay. And here's our breast. See all the bone? We're going to take that, put it in the bag. And let's see, I think I got rid of the gristle in that little batch. Here's another bone. Okay, get the skin off. And it's time to start chunking. So we're going to cut this up. Make sure we got all the bones out. Quite tasty. Okay, now this was half of that chicken. I'm going to put that in, see what it looks like. And I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and use part of the other half, if not all of the other half. At least the breast, okay? Bone in the bag, gristle in the bag if you have any. Watch for little bones, and of course the skin goes in the bag. Okay. Now, if you happen to have pecans and you have people in your home who like pecans, then you could certainly throw some pecans in there. If you had some delicious sweet grapes, you could fancy it up and put some grapes in there. Now, I'm going to see if I have olives. I love olives, and I think olives would be a very nice addition to this salad. I've got olives, and I'm going to cut them in half and slice. These are Spanish olives, so they were pretty large, but they have a nice little pimento in the center that's going to add a very pretty color to your chicken salad. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, now it's time to get the actual Miracle Whip salad dressing that I'm going to use. Now, you might like to use mayonnaise. That part is up to you. All right, I've got my Miracle Whip. Shake a little bit out. That's about a half a cup. And I would start with a half a cup. I need black pepper. You could even use house seasoning, but I'm not going to add any garlic to this. Okay, black pepper. I think the olives are going to add enough salt. The Miracle Whip adds a little sweetness. And I can look at it and tell already that we're going to need a little bit more. Okay, good. It's rather hard to give you an exact amount of Miracle Whip because, or even salad dressing, because it depends on how moist you like your salad. You don't want it too dry, and you don't want it too wet. But you do want it to somewhat cling together. Okay, oh, that's good. That's just the way we like it. When you kind of brush across, you can see just a little bit of the salad dressing. Now we need to taste. Let me get that celery seed. All right, I have the celery seed. I'm going to do a couple of shakes, just a little shake, like you were sprinkling pepper. Of celery seed, and I think it needs just a touch of salt. And I'm really not much of a salt person, so if I say it needs salt, it needs some salt. Okay, the olives will have to, they're a little salty, but not salty enough. You know, we're dealing with chicken, a lot of chicken breast, and those pieces of chicken need a little extra. Now, one more taste. That celery seed added just the kick it needed, and that little touch, just that little touch of salt, made it perfect. we're going to put this into the refrigerator so it has time to chill. And you know, our bread is rising, so, and it's not near dinner time, so let's get it nice and cold. Well, my friends, it took about an hour or so for the bread to rise, and that may depend upon the temperature of your particular home. But these loaves and rolls are ready to go into our 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven, and they're going to bake. I baked our bread in a 350 degree oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. Actually, I used my thermometer, and once it registered about 119 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, I knew it was ready. When those rolls came out of the oven, oh my goodness, I couldn't wait to get a little butter on them and pop it in my mouth, because how delicious can it get? Hot buttered rolls. Love it. I certainly hope that you have enjoyed spending time in the kitchen today. It took us just a little bit longer because of the fact that we were preparing these honey molasses wheat rolls and loaves by hand. And did you see how easy it was? So don't buy another loaf of bread until you have tried this, because it's not a major secret. You can do it. And you know what? When we're trying to work our zero waste kitchen and we're cooking strategically as home cooks, then you're definitely going to want to take the time to try making your own bread. And I do it quite often. So try it. You're going to like it. And so will your family. Blessings.